I heard my husband whisper, "She'll never know, baby. This is just between us." Now, before you jump to conclusions, let me tell you who I am and why those words nearly destroyed me. Because what I discovered in my own home, under my own roof, while I was sleeping just down the hall, it changed everything I thought I knew about the man I'd shared my bed with for 28 years. My name is May Richardson. I'm 62 years old, a retired school cafeteria manager from Durham, North Carolina. For 37 years, I served lunch to hundreds of children, watched them grow from kindergarten babies to high school seniors. I know kids. I know when something's not right with them. But somehow I almost missed what was happening with my own daughter. Marcus and we had what folks called a good marriage. He was 65, a deacon at Mount Zion Baptist Church, the kind of man who'd help you move your couch on a Saturday and never ask for anything in return. Tall, distinguished looking with salt and pepper hair and hands that still held mine when we walked through the grocery store. 28 years we'd been together. 28 years of Sunday dinners, Wednesday night Bible study, and falling asleep to the sound of his breathing. Our daughter Jasmine came to us late. Our miracle baby, born when I was 48 and had given up on the idea of children. The doctors called her high risk. We called her God's perfect timing. She was 14 now, all legs and questions, with my eyes and her daddy's smile. Smart as a whip, that girl. Honor roll every semester. First chair clarinet in the school band. The kind of child who still kissed you goodnight and meant it. At least, that's who she used to be. It was a Tuesday night in October. I remember because I'd made my famous sweet potato pie that day, and the smell of cinnamon and nutmeg still lingered in the kitchen. Marcus and I had gone to bed around 10, like always. He'd read his devotional while I rubbed cocoa butter on my elbows, our nightly routine for longer than I could remember. I don't know what woke me. Maybe it was that sixth sense mothers have, that little voice that says, something's different. The red numbers on the alarm clock glowed 11:47. I reached over to Marcus's side of the bed. Cool sheets, empty space. Bathroom, I thought. Man's getting older. Prostate's probably acting up. But then I heard it. Soft. So soft, I almost convinced myself I imagined it. The gentle click of a door closing down the hall. Not our bedroom door. Not the bathroom door. That one squeaked something awful. No, this was Jasmine's door. I lay there, still as death, listening. The hallway light that we always kept on, for safety, Marcus insisted, went dark. A shadow moved past the crack under our bedroom door. The bed dipped as Marcus slid back under the covers, bringing with him the cold of the hallway and something else. Something sweet and floral that made my stomach tighten. Lavender. My baby girl's lavender room spray that she'd begged for at Target. The one that cost too much, but I bought anyway because she so rarely asked for anything. "Where were you?" I whispered into the darkness, trying to keep my voice neutral, sleepy sounding. "Bathroom, baby. Go back to sleep." His voice was calm, practiced. He pulled me close, his arm heavy across my waist, and within minutes his breathing deepened into sleep. But I lay there, wide awake, my heart beating so hard I was sure he could feel it through the mattress. The lavender scent clung to his pajama shirt, mixing with his Old Spice cologne in a way that made me want to pull away. But I didn't move. I didn't dare move. "You're being crazy, May," I told myself. He was checking on her. That's what good fathers do. They check on their daughters. But good fathers don't lie about it, do they? Good fathers don't smell like their daughter's room at midnight. Good fathers don't. I squeezed my eyes shut, refusing to finish that thought. This was Marcus, my Marcus, the man who'd held my hand through my mama's funeral, who'd sung hymns to Jasmine when she was colicky, who'd never given me a single reason to doubt him in 28 years. Pause, then speaking directly to audience. If you've ever had that feeling that something in your own home isn't right, then take a deep breath and stay with me. Hit that like button if you're ready for a story that might just save someone you love, because what I'm about to tell you, Babies, it's going to be hard to hear, but it needs to be heard. I told myself I was being paranoid. Marcus had been a good husband, a good father, a man of God. But the next night, it happened again. And the night after that. And that's when I knew something was very, very wrong. The next night, I didn't take my blood pressure medicine before bed. I needed to stay alert, needed to know if what happened Tuesday was a one-time thing or something else. Marcus turned off his reading light at 10:15. I counted his breaths, 120 before they deepened into that familiar rhythm of sleep. The house settled into its nighttime quiet. The hum of the refrigerator, the tick of my grandmother's clock in the hallway, the October wind rattling the storm windows. 11:31 p.m. The mattress shifted. Marcus's weight lifted slow and careful, like he was handling eggs. I kept my breathing steady, deep, playing the part of a sleeping wife while my eyes tracked his shadow moving across the room. He didn't go toward the bathroom. He went left, toward the hallway. That soft click again. Jasmine's door opening, closing. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and opened the Notes app, typing in the dark. Wednesday, October 12th, 11:31. Team M went to Jay's room. 23 minutes he was gone. 23 minutes that felt like 23 hours. Me lying there, straining to hear something, anything through the walls. But our old house was built solid back when they used real wood and thick plaster. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. When he slipped back into bed at 11:54, that lavender scent came with him again, stronger this time, like he'd been sitting in it, marinating in it. "Marcus?" I whispered, testing. Nothing. His breathing stayed deep, even, practiced. I started keeping that journal religiously. Thursday night, 11:28 p.m., gone for 37 minutes. Friday, no visit. Saturday, 11:45 p.m., 18 minutes. Sunday through Tuesday, every single night. Always between 11:20 and midnight. Always between 15 and 40 minutes. 4 to 5 nights a week, my husband was visiting our 14-year-old daughter's room while I was supposed to be asleep. But it wasn't just the nights that troubled me. It was the days. Jasmine had always been my kitchen helper. Every Sunday after church, we'd put on gospel music and cook together, her chopping vegetables while I seasoned the meat, both of us dancing a little to Kirk Franklin or Yolanda Adams. It was our time, our tradition since she was tall enough to reach the counter with a step stool. But that Sunday, when I called her to help with dinner, she barely looked up from her phone. "I've got homework, Mama." "On Sunday? Baby, you always do homework on Saturday." She shrugged, eyes still down. Things change. The way she said it, flat, distant, it was like talking to a stranger wearing my daughter's face. I watched her walk away, noticed how she moved different now. Shoulders hunched, arms wrapped around herself like she was cold, even though I had the heat running. Later, I saw her and Marcus in the living room, heads bent together over something on his phone. Their voices were low, whispered, urgent. When I walked in with fresh-baked cookies, her favorite, chocolate chip with sea salt, they both looked up guilty, and Marcus quickly pocketed his phone. "What y'all looking at?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just your daddy was showing me something for school," Jasmine said, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Used to be that girl couldn't lie to save her life. Now the words came out smooth as butter. "Must be some project," I said, setting the cookies down. Marcus stood, stretched. "You know how these teachers are nowadays. Everything's online." He kissed my cheek as he passed, a dry, quick peck that smelled like cologne and secrets. Wednesday afternoon, I came home early from Bible study with a headache. Marcus's car was in the driveway, which was odd. He usually had meetings at church on Wednesdays. I walked in quiet, not wanting to disturb if he was on a call. That's when I heard them in Jasmine's room. The door was cracked, and I could see Marcus sitting on her bed, a small box in his hands. "This is just between us, baby girl," he was saying. "Your mama, she wouldn't understand. She's old-fashioned about these things." "But won't she see the bill?" Jasmine's voice was uncertain. "I got it handled. This is our secret, okay? Father-daughter secret." He handed her the box, and I saw her pull out an iPhone, brand new, still in the plastic. My heart dropped. We'd agreed Jasmine wouldn't get her own phone until she was 16. We discussed it just last month. I backed away, silent as a ghost, and went to sit in my car until my hands stopped shaking. Subscribe to Black Lady Tales right now because this story goes places I never imagined. And tell me in the comments, what time is it where you're watching from? It helps this old woman's heart to know who's listening. That Friday, Sister Gloria came by with her famous peach cobbler. We sat at my kitchen table, the same one where Jasmine used to do her homework while I cooked. Gloria's eyes kept drifting to the living room where Jasmine sat, curled up in the corner of the couch, that new phone in her hands. "That girl seemed different to you?" Gloria asked, stirring sugar into her coffee. My chest tightened. "She's just becoming a teenager." Mm-hmm. Gloria's tone said everything her words didn't. "Well, you know your house better than anybody." She studied me over her cup, and I knew she saw something in my face. Gloria and I had been friends since high school. She could read me like scripture, but shame kept my mouth shut. How could I voice what I was thinking? This was Marcus, Deacon Marcus, the man who led prayer every Sunday, who visited sick members, who'd been my rock for nearly 3 decades. What kind of wife thinks such things about her husband? What kind of mother doesn't protect her child? I decided to test something. One evening, I asked Jasmine directly, "Baby, is everything okay? You seem different lately." The look she gave me, it wasn't confusion. It wasn't teenage attitude. It was fear. And then she said the words that made my blood run cold. "Dad said you wouldn't understand." Those 5 words hung in the air between us like smoke from a snuffed-out candle. Jasmine stood in her bedroom doorway, arms crossed over her chest, chin lifted in a defiance I'd never seen from her before. "He said you've been different lately." She continued, her voice taking on an edge that cut straight through me. "Jealous of how close we are." I felt the floor shift under my feet. Jealous? I hadn't said one word to Marcus about feeling jealous. Not one word about the late-night visits, the secret phone, the whispered conversations. Which meant, Lord have mercy, he'd been preparing for this, planting seeds in my baby's mind before I could even form the questions. "Jasmine, honey." I reached for her, but she stepped back. "I knew you'd react like this. Dad said you would." Her eyes, my grandmother's eyes, passed down through generations, looked at me like I was a stranger. "He's just trying to be a good father and you can't handle it." "Baby, that's not—" "I have homework." She closed the door in my face, gently but firm. The click of that lock might as well have been a gunshot. That night, I waited until we were in bed, lights off, the darkness making it easier to find words I didn't want to say. "Marcus." I kept my voice soft, non-threatening. "I feel like Jasmine and I aren't as close anymore." He sighed, long and heavy, like I was being difficult. "May, baby, she's 14. Girls pull away from their mothers at this age. It's normal. But she seems closer to you than ever." The silence stretched out so long I thought he'd fallen asleep. Then, "So you're jealous of my relationship with my own daughter?" The way he said it, like I was being ridiculous, petty, small, it made me question everything I'd been thinking. Was I jealous? Was this just about me feeling left out? "I'm not jealous, Marcus. I'm concerned." "Concerned about what exactly?" He turned on the bedside lamp, and the sudden light made me squint. His face was all righteous indignation. That I'm spending time with our child? That I'm being the father she needs? That's not what I— "May, listen to yourself." He sat up, took my hands in his. They were warm, familiar, the same hands that had held mine through labor, through my daddy's funeral, through 28 years of life. "Maybe you're going through something, hormones, the change." The change. Like I was some hysterical woman whose body was betraying her mind. "I went through menopause 8 years ago, Marcus. You know that. But the effects can linger. Mood swings, paranoia." He squeezed my hands, his wedding ring pressing into my palm. "Maybe you should talk to Dr. Johnson. Get your levels checked." I pulled my hands away. My levels are fine. Are they? Because this jealousy, these accusations, I haven't accused you of anything. Your tone is accusing me right now. His voice was so calm, so patient, like he was dealing with a child having a tantrum. I'm trying to be understanding here, May, but you're making it difficult. The next few days, I watched my family reshape itself around my absence, like water flowing around a stone. At dinner, when I mentioned the church fundraiser, Jasmine rolled her eyes. Mom, nobody cares about some bake sale. Jasmine! Marcus's correction was gentle, playful. Be nice to your mama, even if bake sales are a little old-fashioned. They shared a smile across the table, and I might as well have been invisible. When I tried to help Jasmine with her algebra homework, I'd always been the math parent. She waved me off. Dad already explained it. Since when does your father help with math? Since now. She didn't even look up from her phone. That new phone Marcus had given her. They had inside jokes now. Little references that made them laugh while I sat there confused. They'd stop talking when I entered a room, then start up about something meaningless. The weather, homework, church gossip, like actors who'd forgotten their lines. Saturday night, I made Jasmine's favorite. Fried catfish, mac and cheese, collard greens with turkey neck for flavor. She picked at it. I'm not really hungry. You feeling sick, baby? No, just Dad and I had Subway after he picked me up from band practice. I didn't know he'd picked her up. I didn't know they'd eaten. In my own house, I was becoming a ghost. If you've ever felt like a stranger in your own home, you know the pain I'm talking about. It sits right here. I'm pointing to my chest, like a stone you can't swallow and can't spit out. That night, I went to tuck Jasmine in, something I'd done every night since she was born, even when she got too old for it. She was already in bed, that phone glowing in her hands. Night, baby. I love you. She stiffened when I leaned down to kiss her forehead. I'm not a baby anymore, Mom. You'll always be my... Good night. She turned away, pulling the covers up to her chin. I stood there for a moment, looking at the back of her head, at the twist out I'd helped her with just last month. Now she wouldn't even let me touch her hair. I made it to the kitchen before the tears came. Sat at that table where we'd shared thousands of meals, where she'd done homework while I cooked, where we'd laughed and talked and been a family. I cried as quiet as I could, my face in my hands, shoulders shaking with the effort of silence. Above me, I heard footsteps. Marcus and Jasmine, walking between their rooms, talking, laughing softly, living their life without me. That's when I made a decision. I needed to know the truth, not suspicions, not feelings, the truth. And if I was wrong, if I was just a paranoid old woman, then so be it. But if I was right, I had to protect my baby, even if she couldn't see she needed protecting. Wednesday afternoon, Marcus had his weekly deacons meeting, and Jasmine had band practice until 5. I had 3 hours to become the detective I never wanted to be. I sat at our desktop computer in the corner of the living room, the one we'd bought for Jasmine's school projects, and my hands shook as I typed in our Verizon password. Marcus handled the bills, always had, but I knew the login. He'd written it on a sticky note inside the kitchen junk drawer, right behind the expired coupons and rubber bands. The account loaded slow, each second feeling like an hour. Then there it was, a new line, added just last month. The number wasn't familiar, but the name on the account made my stomach drop. Jay's phone. I clicked on the usage details. Sweet Jesus. Hundreds of texts. Back and forth between Marcus's number and this new line. The timestamps made my skin crawl. 11:47 p.m., 12:23 a.m., 1:15 a.m. Night after night after night. While I was sleeping 10 feet away, my husband and daughter were having whole conversations in digital whispers. The website wouldn't show me the content, just the numbers, the times, the frequency. But Lord, the frequency. Some nights, 50, 60 messages between them. What could they possibly be saying that required 60 messages at midnight? My chest felt tight, like my mama's old corset was wrapped around my ribs. I took screenshots of everything, emailed them to an account Marcus didn't know about, one I'd made years ago for online shopping. Evidence. Dr. Harris on those true crime shows always said you need evidence. I climbed the stairs to Jasmine's room, each step creaking under my weight. Funny how I never noticed how loud this house was until I started moving through it like a thief. Her door was locked. Now let me tell you something. Jasmine had never locked her door, not once in 14 years. We didn't do locks in this family, except for the bathroom. Privacy is earned with trust, I'd always told her, and trust means open doors. I tried the handle again, rattling it harder than I meant to. When she came home that evening, I asked her about it, casual as I could manage while chopping onions for dinner. "Why you locking your door now, baby?" She didn't even look up from her phone, that damn phone. "I need privacy, Mom. Dad understands that." Dad understands, like Marcus was the parent who got her, and I was just the woman who cooked the meals and washed the clothes. "Since when do you need privacy from your mama?" She finally looked at me, and her eyes were cold as January rain. "Since now." I thought about talking to Pastor Williams, but how could I? Marcus was his right hand, the one who counted the offering, who led prayer meeting when Pastor was sick. And what would I say? "I think my husband visits our daughter's room at night?" Without proof, I'd sound like a bitter wife trying to stir up trouble. "Sister Gloria?" She'd believe me, but she'd also have it all over the church by Sunday. "Girl, you won't believe what May told me about Marcus." No, I needed professional help. Someone bound by confidentiality. Someone who'd seen things, who'd know if I was crazy or if my instincts were screaming for a reason. Dr. Angela Harris's office was across town, in a building that used to be a house, with flowers in window boxes and a sign that read Family Counseling and Wellness. I'd found her online, 5-star reviews, specialized in family dynamics and adolescent issues. I told the receptionist I was concerned about a family I knew. Dr. Harris was younger than I expected, maybe 40, with natural hair wrapped in a pretty head wrap and eyes that seemed to see right through you. Her office smelled like lavender, different from Jasmine's room spray, more earthy, calming. "So," she said, after I'd settled into the soft gray couch, "tell me about this family you're concerned about." I started careful, distant. "There's this man. He's been visiting his teenage daughter's room at night. Several times a week, stays for 30-40 minutes. The mother noticed the daughter pulling away from her, getting closer to the father." As I talked, Dr. Harris's face changed. Gentle understanding shifted to professional concern. "They share secrets," I continued, my voice getting shaky. "He bought her a phone without the mother knowing. They text all night long. The mother feels like she's going crazy. The father tells her she's jealous, that she's going through changes." "May. It is May, right?" Dr. Harris leaned forward. "We both know this isn't hypothetical." I broke. Right there in that soft gray chair, I broke. "I don't know what's happening in my own home. My baby won't talk to me. My husband acts like I'm losing my mind. And these visits, what kind of father needs to be in his daughter's room at midnight?" Dr. Harris handed me tissues, waited for my breathing to steady. "What you're describing has a name," she said carefully. "It's called parental alienation. One parent systematically undermining the child's relationship with the other parent. And these secret meetings, the hidden phone, the late-night communication, these are concerning behaviors." "You don't think I'm crazy?" "No, May. I think you're a mother whose instincts are telling her something is very wrong. Even if nothing physical is happening, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, emotional manipulation of a child is abuse." That word, abuse. It sat in the room between us like a living thing. "You need to document everything," she continued, pulling out a notepad. "Times, dates, behaviors, conversations. And May," she paused, choosing her words, "you need to know what's happening in those rooms, for her protection and yours." Now I want to pause here and tell you something important. If you know someone going through something like this, where they feel crazy in their own home, share this video with them. Sometimes we need to know we're not alone. Dr. Harris gave me a card before I left. On it was a website for small surveillance cameras. You have the right to know what's happening in your own home, she said. I held that card for 3 days, wrestling with myself. Was I really going to spy on my own husband, my own daughter? But on the third night, when I heard that door click open again, I knew what I had to do. That little camera cost me $89,999, and what was left of my peace of mind. I found it on Amazon at 2 in the morning, reading reviews from other women with stories buried between the lines. Works great for checking on elderly parent. Perfect for monitoring babysitter. Help me find out the truth. The truth. Lord, I wasn't sure I wanted it anymore. The camera was tiny, smaller than a golf ball, with night vision and motion detection. Ships in discreet packaging, the description promised. I had it sent to Sister Gloria's house, told her it was supplies for the church bake sale. When I pulled up to Gloria's porch 3 days later, she was waiting with the box and a look that could peel paint. May Richardson, what is really going on? I tried to take the package, but she held it back. It's nothing, Gloria. Just, don't you lie to me. We've been friends 43 years. You think I don't know when something's eating at you? Right there on her porch, with her petunias watching like witnesses, I broke. Told her everything. The midnight visits, the secret phone, the way my daughter looked at me like I was the enemy. Gloria pulled me into her arms, and I smelled her white diamonds perfume, the same one she'd worn since 1995. You do what you need to do to protect that baby, she whispered fierce into my ear. You hear me? Whatever it takes. Back home, I sat on my bed with my laptop, the camera box hidden under a pile of fresh towels. Marcus was at work, Jasmine at school. I had time. YouTube became my teacher. How to set up mini spy camera. 487,000 views. A young man with a beard showed me how to download the app, connect to Wi-Fi, adjust the settings. I watched it 3 times, taking notes in the margins of an old church bulletin. The irony wasn't lost on me. Using the same platform where Jasmine learned to do her natural hair tutorials, I was learning to spy on my own family. Wednesday came slow as molasses. Marcus had his afternoon shift at the community center, teaching seniors computer basics. Jasmine had band practice, then study group. I'd have at least 2 hours. My hands shook so bad I dropped the spare key twice before getting Jasmine's door open. The room hit me like a slap. Gone were the photos of us at Myrtle Beach, her 8th grade graduation, our girls' trip to Atlanta. The walls now held only pictures of her and Marcus. At the basketball game, at her band concert, selfies I'd never seen. In every one, they looked like conspirators sharing a secret the world couldn't know. Her diary, the one I'd given her with the little golden edges, now had a combination lock. Since when did she need to lock her thoughts away from me? The bookshelf by her window held new things, books I didn't recognize, a jewelry box I'd never seen, and there, between her collection of succulents and fake plants, the perfect spot. The camera was so small it disappeared behind a ceramic cactus, its tiny lens peeking through the plastic spines. I adjusted it twice, 3 times, making sure it captured the whole room, the bed, the door, the carpet where Marcus would stand. Back in my bedroom, I opened the app. The image was crystal clear. I could see Jasmine's purple comforter, her band uniform hanging on the closet door, the motivational posters I'd helped her put up last year. Dream big. You matter. Love yourself first. That last one felt like mockery now. I cleared the browser history, deleted the YouTube videos from my watch list, hid the camera box in a trash bag in my trunk. By the time Marcus and Jasmine came home, I had dinner on the table. Baked chicken, rice and gravy, green beans with almonds the way Marcus liked them. You seem quiet tonight, May, Marcus said, cutting into his chicken. Just tired, baby. The lie came out smooth as butter. Jasmine barely looked up from her phone. Can I eat in my room? I have a test tomorrow. Family dinner means family, Marcus said, but he winked at her. Just this once, princess. Princess. When had he started calling her that? I want you to understand, I wasn't trying to catch him doing something wrong. I was praying I wouldn't. I was praying I'd see that door open, Marcus would check on her like any good father, and I could delete that footage and never speak of this again. But prayer doesn't always give us what we want. Sometimes it gives us what we need. I went to bed at 9:30 claiming a headache. Marcus rubbed my back, all concern. You need anything, baby? Just sleep. But I didn't sleep. I lay there with my phone under my pillow, the screen brightness turned all the way down, the app open and waiting. Every sound in the house became amplified. The ice maker, the settling wood, Marcus brushing his teeth with that electric toothbrush. 10:47. He got into bed, 11:15. His breathing deepened, 11:30. The mattress shifted, 11:47. At 11:47 that night, my phone screen lit up. Motion detected. I opened the app with shaking hands, and what I saw in that small glowing screen broke my heart into pieces. The camera's night vision turned everything ghostly green, but I could see clear as day when Marcus pushed open Jasmine's door. He moved like smoke, silent and deliberate. No hesitation, no checking if she was asleep. He knew she'd be waiting. The bedside lamp clicked on, casting shadows that made my husband look like a stranger. Jasmine sat up immediately. No drowsy confusion, no rubbing her eyes. She'd been lying there awake, waiting for him. "Hey, baby girl, can't sleep." "I was waiting for you, Daddy." Those 5 words hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't random. This wasn't checking on a restless child. This was an appointment, a standing date, a secret meeting in my own home. Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, his weight making the mattress dip. Through the tiny speaker on my phone, I could hear everything with terrible clarity. "How is Mom today?" His voice was different, soft, conspiratorial, like they were planning a surprise party I wasn't supposed to know about. "Was she watching you again?" She asked why I don't help her cook anymore. "See?" Marcus shook his head, and I watched his hand reach out to pat Jasmine's knee through the covers. "She's trying to control you. She can't handle you growing up, can't handle you becoming your own person." My free hand clutched the sheets so tight my knuckles ached. "Your mother's always been insecure, baby." He said my name like it tasted bad. Even when we first met, she was jealous of my female friends, my coworkers. Now she can't stand that you and I are close. She wants to be the only one in your life. Jasmine pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself smaller. She seemed sad at dinner. "That's manipulation, princess. She's trying to make you feel guilty for having a relationship with your father. Classic emotional blackmail." I wanted to scream. Me. I was the manipulator. This man was sitting in our daughter's room at midnight filling her head with poison, and I was the problem? "Listen, baby girl." Marcus leaned in closer, and his next words made my blood turn to ice water. "I talked to a lawyer this week." Jasmine's eyes went wide in the green-tinted footage. "You're really going to do it?" "I want you to be happy, baby girl, and I don't think you can be happy here, not with her getting worse." He paused, letting that sink in. "The lawyer says I have a strong case. Your mother's been showing signs of instability, the paranoia, the accusations, trying to control your relationship with me. But what about—" "Shh, listen. When the time comes, you might have to talk to a judge. Nothing scary, just a conversation. You'll tell them the truth, that Mom makes you anxious, that you feel safer with me, that you want to live with me primarily." I watched my 14-year-old daughter nod slowly, her trust in her father absolute and terrifying. "What if she finds out?" Jasmine's voice was small, scared. "She won't. And even if she suspects something, who's going to believe her? She's already acting erratic. Yesterday, she was crying in the kitchen for no reason. Last week, she accused me of keeping secrets. The week before, she was jealous of our relationship." He counted each instance on his fingers like evidence. "I've been documenting everything." Documenting. This man I'd slept beside for 28 years had been building a case against me while I cooked his meals and washed his drawers. "Remember everything we talked about," He continued, his hand now holding hers. Don't let her make you feel guilty. You're not betraying her. You're protecting yourself from an unhealthy situation. I just want us to be happy, Daddy. Jasmine's voice cracked, and I saw tears rolling down her cheeks in the dim light. We will be. Just trust me. This is our secret for now. Our special father-daughter bond that she can't break. He leaned over and kissed her forehead, tender as Judas. I love you more than anything in this world. Love you too, Daddy. He stood up slowly, turned off the lamp, and moved to the door. At the threshold, he paused. Sweet dreams, Princess. Remember, if Mom asks you anything tomorrow, you don't know what she's talking about. She's imagining things. The door clicked shut. I lay there in that bed, phone still clutched in my trembling hands, watching my daughter curl into a ball on the screen. She was crying, soft, confused sobs that she muffled with her pillow. My baby was crying and I couldn't go to her, couldn't comfort her, because I wasn't supposed to know. The mattress shifted as Marcus slid back into bed. He smelled like lavender and lies. His arm came around my waist, heavy and familiar, and I had to fight every muscle in my body not to recoil. Love you, May. He murmured into the darkness, already half asleep. The words made me want to vomit. I stared at the ceiling, tears running silent down my temples into my hair. This man who stood before God and promised to love and cherish me, had been systematically destroying my relationship with my daughter, turning her against me, planning to take her away, using her innocence and trust as weapons in a war I didn't even know we were fighting. I want to stop here and tell you something. What I just witnessed, what Marcus was doing, it has a name. It's called parental alienation, and it's a form of child abuse. If you think someone you know is experiencing this, please pay attention to this story. I laid there in that bed next to a man I no longer knew, and I realized something. He thought he was so smart, so careful, but he forgot one thing. He forgot that I'm not the weak, losing my mind woman he was telling our daughter about. I'm May Richardson. I raised myself out of poverty, put myself through school, buried 2 parents and a sister, and kept my faith through it all. And if he thought I was going to let him steal my daughter and my dignity, he had another think coming. For 3 nights, I became someone I didn't recognize, a woman who could smile at breakfast while carrying dynamite in her chest. Thursday morning, Marcus kissed my cheek before leaving for work, and I smiled. Have a blessed day, baby. The words tasted like ash, but they came out sweet as honey. At the church office, where I worked part-time doing the bulletin and managing prayer requests, Sister Dolores commented on how peaceful I looked. Girl, whatever face cream you're using, I need some. If only she knew my secret wasn't skincare, it was rage crystallized into purpose. Each night I recorded Thursday's visit, Marcus telling Jasmine that I'd been unstable since menopause, and that's why I was acting suspicious. Friday's visit, coaching her on what to tell her school counselor if asked about home life. Saturday, explaining how custody would work, how she'd have her own room at his new apartment, how they'd be free. I downloaded everything: Google Drive, Dropbox, 2 USB drives, one hidden in my jewelry box, another in a tampon box under the bathroom sink. Men never look in tampon boxes. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove 40 minutes to Charlotte, to an attorney Gloria's cousin had used during her divorce. Miss Patricia Chen's office was on the 10th floor of a building that smelled like leather and justice. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with sharp eyes behind designer glasses and a handshake that meant business. Mrs. Richardson, tell me why you're here. I pulled out my phone. I need you to watch something first. For 20 minutes, Ms. Chen watched the videos. Her face went from professional interest to genuine concern to controlled anger. When the last one finished, she set down her legal pad and looked at me straight. Mrs. Richardson, this is textbook parental alienation. It's psychological abuse. She pulled out a thick book, flipped to a marked page. Under North Carolina law, what your husband is doing, systematically undermining your relationship with your child, is grounds for immediate intervention. So I'm not crazy? I'm not overreacting? You're underreacting, if anything. This is calculated emotional manipulation of a minor. She leaned forward. But I need to warn you. Do not confront him without a plan. Men like this, when cornered, can escalate. We need to be strategic. We spent 2 hours mapping out exactly what would happen. Documentation, safety plans, options. By the time I left, I had a folder of information and something I hadn't felt in weeks. Power. Friday afternoon, I called Gloria. Can Jasmine spend the weekend? I know it's sudden, but say no more. I'll pick her up after school. We'll have a girls' weekend, spa treatments and everything. Jasmine was thrilled. Gloria always let her stay up late and eat cereal for dinner. Marcus barely noticed, too busy with his Friday night deacon duties. Perfect. At 8 p.m., after I heard his car in the high driveway, I made 2 cups of coffee, his with 2 sugars, the way he'd taken it for 28 years. I set them on the kitchen table and waited. We need to talk, Marcus. He barely glanced up from his phone. What's on your mind, baby? I took a breath. Steady, calm. I know about the lawyer. His thumb stopped scrolling. I know what you've been doing with Jasmine. The change was instant. His shoulders tensed, jaw tightened, but his voice stayed honey smooth. What are you talking about? I know about the nightly visits, the conversations, the alienation. He set down his phone, slow, deliberate. May, you're being paranoid again. I check on our daughter. That's what fathers do. At midnight, for 40 minutes, teaching her to lie to judges? You're imagining things. This is exactly what I was telling Pastor Williams about. These delusions. I pulled out my phone. Would you like to watch? The kitchen went silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I pressed play. His voice filled the room. When the time comes, you might have to talk to a judge. Just tell them the truth, that Mom makes you anxious, that you feel safer with me. I've never seen blood actually drain from someone's face until that moment. Marcus went from brown to ashen in 3 seconds flat. You put a camera in our daughter's room? He stood so fast his chair scraped against the floor. That's invasion of... in my house. My voice was ice. My daughter's room. And what you've been doing is called parental alienation. It's abuse, Marcus. Abuse? I'm talking to my child. You're poisoning her against me. You're manipulating a 14-year-old girl. You're planning to steal her through lies and coaching. I stayed seated, calm as a lake while he raged like a storm. I've spoken to an attorney. I have copies of everything, every single night. His face cycled through emotions, anger, fear, calculation. I watched him try to find an angle, a manipulation, a way out. May, baby, let's not be hasty. You have 2 choices. I slid a paper across the table, Ms. Chen's letterhead visible at the top. Choice 1, family therapy. You move to the guest room, supervise time with Jasmine while we work through this with professionals. We try to repair what you've broken. And choice 2? His voice was smaller now. I file for divorce Monday morning, emergency custody order. These videos go to the judge, to the guardian ad litem, to everyone who needs to see them. I met his eyes, including Pastor Williams and the deacon board. The last part hit him like a physical blow. His reputation, his standing, his carefully crafted image. You wouldn't. Try me. He sank into his chair, suddenly looking all of his 65 years. May, please, I was trying to be close to her. By destroying her relationship with me? By planning to take her away based on lies? I shook my head. I need your answer by Sunday night. Until then, Jasmine stays with Gloria. You can't keep her from me. I can and I will until you decide. I stood, picked up my untouched coffee. Guest room is made up. Your clothes for tomorrow are on the bed. Now, some of you might be thinking I should have just kicked him out right then. But here's what I learned. When you're dealing with someone who's been manipulating your child, you can't just think about winning. You have to think about healing, and that takes wisdom. Marcus chose therapy, not because he wanted to change, I think, but because he knew those videos would destroy him in court. But I didn't care about his reasons. I cared about getting my daughter back. And that was going to be the hardest battle of all. Sunday evening, when I pulled up to Gloria's house to get Jasmine, my hands were shaking so bad I had to sit in the car for a minute just to breathe. Gloria walked her out, and the moment Jasmine saw me, her whole body changed. Shoulders up, arms crossed, that new hardness in her eyes. Gloria squeezed my hand before letting go. "Dad told me what you did." Jasmine's voice was ice as she got in the car. "How you spied on us." My heart cracked like dried clay, but I kept my voice steady. "There's a lot we need to talk about, baby." "I'm not your baby." "Lord, give me strength." Dr. Harris's office still smelled like that earthy lavender, but this time it felt different. Heavier. Jasmine sat as far from me as the couch would allow, her body turned toward the wall. That phone, that damned phone, clutched in her hands like armor. "Jasmine," Dr. Harris began, her voice gentle as morning rain. "I want you to know this is a safe space. Nothing you say here will be used against you or anyone else. We're just going to talk, okay?" A shoulder shrug. Teenage indifference masking teenage fear. "Let me ask you something. When did you start feeling distant from your mother?" Jasmine's fingers stilled on her phone. "I don't know. A while." "Can you think of a specific moment? Something that happened that made you think, 'Mom doesn't understand me?'" Long pause. The clock on the wall ticked. Maybe, maybe around my birthday. Mom didn't want me to have a phone, and Dad said. She trailed off. "What did Dad say?" "He said she was trying to keep me a baby, that she couldn't handle me growing up." Dr. Harris nodded, writing something down. "And before Dad said that, had you felt that way? That your mom was trying to keep you a baby?" Jasmine's brow furrowed. I don't know. Maybe? No, wait. Dad mentioned it first, I think. Then I started noticing things." "What kinds of things?" Like, like how she always wanted to do my hair, or cook together, kid stuff. Things you'd been doing together for years?" "Yeah, but..." Jasmine stopped. I watched the confusion ripple across her face like a stone dropped in still water. "Jasmine, sometimes people we trust can plant ideas in our heads, ideas that feel like our own thoughts, but actually came from them. Does that make sense?" "He wasn't manipulating me." The words exploded out of her. "He loves me. He's the only one who understands me." I opened my mouth to respond, but Dr. Harris held up a subtle hand. "Wait. I believe he loves you," Dr. Harris said carefully. "Jasmine, can love and manipulation happen at the same time?" The question hung in the air like humidity before a storm. Jasmine's face crumpled just a little, then hardened again. "I don't want to talk anymore." "That's okay, we can stop for today." The second session was worse. Jasmine came in angry, defensive, Marcus's words spilling out of her mouth like a ventriloquist's dummy. "My dad says therapy is just another way for Mom to control the narrative." But Dr. Harris was patient as Job. She asked careful questions, reflected back Jasmine's own words, helped her trace the threads of her thoughts back to their origins. "You said your mom makes you anxious. Can you tell me about a time before this year when she made you feel that way?" Silence. "What about when you were younger, elementary school?" "She was different then," Jasmine admitted quietly. "We were close." "What changed?" "I grew up." "Or did someone tell you that you grew apart?" By the third session, cracks were showing. Jasmine started catching herself mid-sentence. "Dad says Mom is..." "Wait, no, I think Mom..." She'd stop, confused, like someone waking up from a dream and not sure what was real. Then 40 minutes into that third session, she asked the question I'd been dreading and hoping for. "Can I see? Can I see what was on the camera?" I looked at Dr. Harris, my heart hammering. She nodded carefully. "Just one," she said. "We'll watch it together." I pulled out my phone, found the video from that first recorded night. the one where Marcus coached her about what to tell a judge. My finger hovered over the play button. Are you sure, baby? Jasmine nodded, but I saw her hands trembling. The tiny screen lit up with that green night vision footage. There was Marcus sitting on her bed. There was Jasmine, knees pulled to her chest. And there was his voice, clear as crystal. When the time comes, you might have to talk to a judge. Just tell them the truth, that mom makes you anxious, that you feel safer with me. I watched my daughter's face as she watched herself being coached. Watched her hear her father's calculated tone, so different from his usual warmth. Watched her recognize the manipulation she couldn't see when she was in it. Oh my God! Her voice was barely a whisper. Oh my God, what did I do? The phone fell from her hands as she broke. Not the pretty tears of movies, but the ugly body-shaking sobs of someone whose whole world just tilted off its axis. Mama, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought. I pulled her into my arms, and for the first time in months, she didn't resist. She collapsed into me, her tears soaking my blouse, her body shaking with the force of her realization. Shh, baby, shh. You didn't do anything wrong. You're the child. He's the adult. I was so mean to you. I said such awful things. You were confused, baby. He confused you on purpose. Dr. Harris moved closer, her voice soft but clear. Jasmine, what your father did, it's called parental alienation. It's a form of emotional abuse, and it's not your fault. You were manipulated by someone you trusted completely. Jasmine clung to me like she was drowning, and I was the only solid thing in an ocean of confusion. I held her tight, breathing in the smell of her coconut hair oil, feeling her heartbeat against mine, mother and daughter together in the wreckage, but together nonetheless. If you've been hurt by someone you love, if you've watched someone you care about be manipulated, you know this moment. When the truth finally breaks through, it's painful and beautiful all at once. That moment in Dr. Harris's office was a breakthrough, but it wasn't the end. Healing, real healing, takes time, and Marcus wasn't going to just disappear from our lives. We still had a long road ahead. Family therapy felt like sitting in a room with a wounded lion and pretending everything was fine. Marcus came to that first joint session wearing his Sunday deacon suit, Bible tucked under his arm like a shield. He sat in the single chair across from Jasmine and me, looking like a man wrongly accused, ready to defend his good name. I just wanted to be close to my daughter, he said, 5 minutes in, his voice dripping with hurt. Is that a crime now? For a father to love his child? Dr. Harris didn't even blink. Mr. Richardson, you told Jasmine her mother was mentally unstable. You coached her for custody court. You held secret meetings at midnight. That's not closeness. That's manipulation. The mask slipped for just a second. I saw rage flash in his eyes before he recovered. I was protecting her from a toxic situation. That you created, Dr. Harris interrupted, by systematically turning her against her mother. Marcus tried everything. He quoted scripture about fathers leading their households. He cried, actual tears, about how he'd been misunderstood. He even tried to turn Jasmine against the therapy itself, calling it worldly nonsense when he thought I couldn't hear. But I could see him now, clear as spring water. Every word was calculated, every emotion performed. He was still trying to control the narrative, still trying to be the victim in his own story of abuse. 2 weeks later, I sat in Ms. Chen's office again. I can't save this marriage, I told her. I can't have him in my house, pretending to change while poisoning everything he touches. Legal separation first, she advised. It's cleaner for custody. Shows you're being reasonable, not vindictive. Marcus moved out on a Thursday, packed his things while I was at work and Jasmine was at school. Left his key on the kitchen counter with a note. I pray you find peace, May. Even his goodbye was a manipulation. The supervised visit started 2 weeks later. Every other Saturday, 2 hours at the Family Counseling Center, with a social worker present. The first time I dropped Jasmine off, she looked at me with eyes full of confusion. I don't know how to feel, Mama. I love him, but I hate what he did. I miss him, but I'm scared of him. How can all that be true at once? I smoothed her hair back, remembering when she was little, and all her problems could be solved with a kiss and a band-aid. Baby, you can hold space for both truths. Love and anger can live in the same heart. That's what makes us human. Dr. Harris said the same thing in our next session. She needs to process these contradictions, not resolve them. Let her feel everything. So I did. When Jasmine came home angry at Marcus, I listened. When she came home missing him, I listened. When she turned that anger on me. If you hadn't put up that camera, we'd still be a family. I breathed through it and listened. Some days were harder than others. Some days, she'd walk past me like I was furniture. Other days, she'd collapse in my arms, sobbing about things that had nothing to do with Marcus, but everything to do with the confusion he'd left behind. 3 months in, something shifted. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was in the kitchen, seasoning chicken for dinner, gospel music playing soft on the radio. I didn't hear Jasmine come in until she spoke. "Can I help?" I almost dropped the paprika. "You want to help? With dinner?" She nodded, already washing her hands. "Like we used to." I'd love that, baby. We worked side by side, quiet at first. She chopped onions while I seasoned the meat. Then, as natural as breathing, she started talking. "There's this boy at school, Trevor. He asked me to the spring dance." "Oh?" I kept my voice neutral, afraid of breaking the spell. I said maybe. Is that okay? To not know? Sometimes maybe is the most honest answer we got. She smiled, a real smile, not the practiced one she'd been wearing. We cooked and talked and laughed when I accidentally flung flour across the counter. It felt like before. It felt like home. 4 months in, I woke to a soft knock on my bedroom door at 2 a.m. "Mama?" Jasmine's voice was small, scared. "I had a nightmare." "Come here, baby." She crawled into bed beside me, something she hadn't done since she was 9. She curled into my side and I felt her tears on my shoulder. I dreamed I couldn't tell what was real anymore, like everything everyone said was a lie. I held her tight. That must have been scary. "Can I sleep here tonight?" "Always, baby, always." 6 months in, Dr. Harris gave Jasmine a writing assignment. Write a letter to someone you need to say something to. You don't have to send it, just write it. A week later, I found an envelope on my pillow. My name in Jasmine's careful handwriting. "Dear Mama, I'm sorry for pushing you away. I'm sorry for the mean things I said. I'm sorry for believing lies about you. I see now what he was doing, how he used my love for him to hurt you, to hurt us. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for fighting for me when I couldn't see I needed fighting for. Thank you for loving me even when I was unlovable. I love you, Mama. We're going to be okay, aren't we? Your baby girl. Yes, I'm still your baby. Jasmine." I sat on my bed, holding that letter, tears streaming down my face. Then I folded it carefully and tucked it into my Bible, right next to the picture of my mama and the prayer card from my daddy's funeral. Sacred things belong together. Some of you watching might be in the middle of your own battle right now. Let me tell you something. Healing doesn't happen in a day, but every small step forward is a victory. Don't give up. Now, I'm not going to tell you everything is perfect. Jasmine still has moments where she pulls away. I still have nights where I wonder if I did the right thing, if I could have handled it differently. But we're together. We're healing. And that camera, that little device I was so afraid to use, it saved both of us. So let me tell you where we are today, 2.5 years later, sitting in my kitchen with morning coffee and hard-won peace. Jasmine is 16 now, a junior at Durham High. Honor roll every semester, captain of the debate team, and still plays that clarinet like angels taught her how. She's got her daddy's height, but her mama's spirit. Questioning everything, standing up for the underdog, speaking truth even when her voice shakes. Our relationship? It's different from before. Stronger in some ways, more careful in others. We don't take each other for granted anymore. Every "I love you" carries weight. Every hug holds history. Trust, once broken, comes back different. Not weaker, but wiser. She still sees Marcus. After a year of supervised visits, the court allowed unsupervised meetings. Every other Saturday, 4 hours. Their relationship is quiet now, polite. She loves him. That never fully goes away. But she sees him clear. No more pedestals, no more secrets. Just a father and daughter navigating the ruins of what they had, building something smaller but more honest. He still tries sometimes, she told me last week. Little comments about you, testing to see if I'll bite. And I tell him we're not doing that anymore, that I won't be his weapon. My baby girl, wise beyond her years because she had to be. Marcus and I divorced quietly last year. No drama, no court battle. He knew those videos were still out there. He signed the papers, gave me the house, agreed to child support, showed up to court in his deacon suit, told the judge he wanted what's best for everyone. Still performing, even at the end. Do I hate him? No. Hate takes too much energy, and I need that energy for living, but I don't trust him. Don't miss him. Don't wonder what if. Some betrayals kill love so thoroughly, there's nothing left to mourn. People ask if I'm dating, if I'll remarry. I just smile and shake my head. I've got my daughter, my faith, my friends, my part-time work at the church. That's enough. More than enough. I'm learning that alone doesn't mean lonely. Sometimes alone means free. Now, babies, let me talk to you directly, because I know some of you are living this story right now, lying awake at night wondering if you're crazy, if you're imagining things, if you're the problem. Listen to me now. Lesson 1. Trust your instincts. That feeling in your gut, that voice whispering something's not right. That's God talking to you through your own intuition. If something feels wrong in your home, investigate. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. You're a parent protecting your child. Lesson 2. Parental alienation is real. It's insidious. It's abuse. And it's more common than you think. One parent systematically turning a child against the other parent. It has a name, it has documentation, and it has legal consequences. Learn the signs. Secret communications, coaching what to say, painting the other parent as dangerous or crazy, creating an us against them mentality. If you see it, document it. Lesson 3. Sometimes protecting your children means protecting them from people you love, even from their other parent. I know that's hard to hear. We want to believe that both parents have the child's best interests at heart, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes one parent's need for control, for winning, for hurting the other parent, becomes more important than the child's well-being. When that happens, you fight. You fight with everything you've got. Lesson 4. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking you're unstable. When Marcus told me I was going through the change, when he said I was jealous and paranoid, he was trying to make me doubt my own mind. That's what abusers do. They make you question reality so they can control the narrative. Document everything. Get proof. Trust yourself. Lesson 5. Healing takes time and it's not linear. Some days, Jasmine and I are good. Some days, we struggle. Some days, the ghost of those midnight visits haunts us both. That's okay. Healing happens in spirals, not straight lines. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your children. Every small step forward is a victory. If you're going through something like this, you're not alone. There are resources. There are counselors who understand parental alienation. There are lawyers who've seen this before. There are other parents who've walked this path and survived. If you know someone who might be experiencing this, a friend, a family member, someone at church, share this video with them. Sometimes we need to hear our story in someone else's voice to understand what's happening to us. And remember this, sometimes the most loving thing we can do is see the truth, even when it breaks our heart. Especially when it breaks our heart. Because our children deserve parents who will fight for them, who will see through the manipulation, who will stand up and say, no more. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button so this old woman knows her story mattered. Subscribe to Black Lady Tales. I have more stories to tell, and each one carries a lesson that might just save somebody. Tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are, and where are you watching from? It brings me such joy knowing who's out there listening, whether you're having morning coffee in California or getting ready for bed in London. We're connected across all this distance, sharing truth and finding healing. If you want to support this channel, there's a super thanks button below. Every bit helps me keep sharing these stories that need to be told. And I have 2 more stories on screen right now that you need to hear. Click one and let's keep going together. Because that's what we do. We keep going, we keep fighting, we keep protecting our babies. Remember, babies, the truth might hurt, but it also heals. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is look at what we don't want to see, face it, name it, and then fight like heaven to make it right. I'm May, and I'll see you in the next story. God bless you, wherever you are. And if you're fighting for your child tonight, keep fighting. You're stronger than you know. Peace and blessings always.